So we have this podcast. Well, I don't have this podcast, but it's called Call Her Daddy. And it was just a really interesting story of how it all went down. But so it was these two girls that started this podcast. They're, one thing you learn is that, my mentor always reminds me that greatness is polarizing, meaning that they were really outlandish and crazy while talking about everything, which is awesome. And so they partnered with a podcast company called, my brain is really I feel like it has something to do about beer, their podcast company.
Sarah, what podcast company did Call Her Daddy?
Barstool. You see, I said beer, but I was like, you see how my mind works? Yeah. Okay. So Call Her
Keep
Daddy.
going.
Call Her Daddy partners
We're on the
Barstool.
ride now.
I promise I'm going to turn this ride around. We'll get back on track. And so they partnered with Barstool. And as a result, they really blow up. Like they went from 12,000 downloads a month to 2 million. And it's doing really well. They decide that they're going to renegotiate after a year, renegotiate the terms of their contract. They were being paid $70,000 base, and then a percentage of merch sales and percentage of ads. And so they renegotiate. But one of the things that they negotiate for is ownership of the IP, the intellectual property of Call Her Daddy. And at first the answer was no. But they fought for it. And one of the girls, I guess she wanted to go a different way, ended up leaving. But the girl who stayed, she got her IP. She got to keep Call Her Daddy. And recently, she just got bought by Spotify for $60 million. And I guess really the boost I guess really the boost for me is the power of ownership. Now, you can't always own everything all the time. But sometimes creatives, sometimes when you're starting a business, sometimes when you're doing whatever it is that you're creating, in the beginning, you're so eager to make the money or get put on that you can easily give away your power by giving away your ownership. I remember I read this thing it was a podcast, something where Nas was on. And he said one of the things that Prince told him was own your rights, own your publishing, there are people who don't own those things. From my understanding, Mary J. Blige, for example, as much money as she's made, I read somewhere that she still owes the record label $25 million. And it's hard for her to make that money back because she doesn't own the rights to her own songs and things. And so ownership is key because you can have someone that's not as popular as a Mary, but because they have ownership, they are still making more. Because every dollar, they have a greater take of every dollar that comes in. And so I just was thinking about that how important ownership is. And with all these new amazing creators that are coming out, I hope that they're just keeping that in mind, that ownership, you're not always able to keep everything. But so for example, books, right? So I traditionally publish, I don't own, I own the basic copyright for the words and things that I wrote them, but I don't really own the book. I can't take this book and sell it myself. Penguin owns it. But I knew that that was a trade-off for me because I knew in order for me to get on the New York Times bestsellers list and to do what I needed to do to take the budget needs to the next level, I was willing to give that up. But I still am able to self-publish my own books on my own if I decide to move forward. Sorry, Penguin, if that's what I decide, that's what I'm going to do. But I also, too, a publishing company had asked to buy Molly Moore. I think it was Simon & Schuster. So they wanted to buy Get Good With Money. But they also wanted to buy Molly Moore. And I said, no. Matter of fact, I said, hell no, because my plans for Molly are different. And so if I forecast forward, I want to maintain ownership of Molly Moore. And if a production company just reached out to buy it for me, I said, no, because I have a longer, this book was I need to give something amazing to my audience. Here's a guide. I want to get on New York Times bestsellers list. I want to raise the profile of Budgetnista. Don't play with me. We real out here. Done. But Molly Moore is, in 10 years, I want this to be $1 billion business. I want to see her on every streaming platform. I want the babies to be wearing Molly Moore t-shirts and Molly Moore shoelaces. That doesn't happen, without me attached to it. Y'all not going to make Molly Moore happen. And I'm just sitting at home, that used to be me. So just consider that ownership is really, is really critical, especially in today's days and time, as you create things on different websites and partner with different organizations to try to maintain as much ownership as possible. So that's my brown boosty.
Ah, that was a really good one. And it actually, I thank you because it reminded me of a really good boost that I could boost. But also, as a freelancer myself now, part of my income, I have several streams of income. And one of them is when I want to, I will write articles for other websites. And even just as a writer, I don't know if I should say this or not, but anyway, I wrote a pretty big piece for a pretty big site, and I was going to get paid for it, but then I saw the contract and I was like, yeah, I don't want to sign that. And I don't need the money, so not going to sign it. And it's mine forever. It's not yours. And it's been this ongoing thing because the language in these contracts, it is just like, who are these attorneys? We will own this in perpetuity and worldwide.
No,
like,
in all the universe.
International.
No,
in the
have you seen that
universe?
Yes.
These words are ours. And meanwhile, I wrote the piece and then I shopped it around to different outlets. It wasn't like it was commissioned directly from this particular outlet. And I was like, no, you can keep the money. And I negotiated like 3 times normally what they would have paid. And I'll take the accolade and the fact that I got my piece published on your site, and we'll just call it a day. But as a creator, and especially even this, we talk about TikTok and people creating now, there's a business that's trying to trademark dances as intellectual property, like a choreography, because a lot of Black and brown creators are making these huge dances go viral, which has led to songs that weren't even like, people are talking about Jason Derulo now because he had a TikTok song that went like, where was he? Anyway, no shade, Jason Derulo. And they like, we know your name. You did it. Yes. You got the jingle. But as Black people and brown people in general, we have to focus on ownership and on that intellectual property and actual tactics that you use to protect it. And that will bring me to my boost, because I was just talking about this with a dear friend of ours called Sandy Smith.
I love Sandy.
From Yes, I Am Cheap. Hey, Sandy girl. And I just love Sandy. She's a bucket full of sunshine. And I don't know how she does all the things that she does with the tiny human and being a landlord and all that. But one of her passion projects is the Elevate Money Conference.
Yes.
Which came about, I think the first conference was maybe last year or the year before. And
yes.
Right. And she made it happen even through the pandemic. But Elevate Money is really supposed to be a safe space for Black and brown people to get together, hear from Black and brown creators and influencers, and learn lessons about wealth building, creating a business, and being empowered. And this year she was supposed to host it in Tulsa, which you might have heard. Supposed to host it in Tulsa. It was all set up. It was going to be at this amazing location. But then, the Delta variant came to town, and she decided to no longer do the in-person conference. And in fact, it was canceled altogether. But Sandy never lets projects go. And she has set such a high bar for herself. So she's decided to turn the conference into a free virtual conference. So if you're listening to this, you can check out Elevate Money. We'll post a link in the show notes and attend. It's going to be a free virtual online conference. I don't know none of the details, but I know Sandy, and I know it's going to be extraordinary. And she and I were talking about, in one particular part of the conference, helping people understand how to get things trademarked, how to protect your IP.
Girl.
And oof. Yeah, by the way, Brown Ambition's trademark, you got it. Don't go for it. And how to own all of that. So thanks for reminding me of that. And I'm really happy for Sandy that Elevate Money is happening. I will be there. Yes. And we'll post a link in the show notes so you guys can check it out and join for free.
Yes. We love free, but no, that's true. Cause one of the best things, a gift someone gave me was, I remember it was like probably year 1 or 2 of the Budgetnista. And they asked me if I had a trademark. I was like, no. And they were like, you should. I'm like, I don't have any money. And I think it was like $275. And I remember being like, I don't have any money. He was like, put it on a credit card. I couldn't even afford an attorney, but he had trademarked his name. And I was just like, he said, he was a musician. And he was like, come to the studio. I'm going to walk you through online. So I literally sat and did it. Oh my gosh. It is the best thing I ever did, because a year later, I got a Google alert that said, meet the Budgetnista. And it was like traced back to the Wells Fargo website. And I was like, I'm on Wells Fargo? I wasn't. It was this beautiful Asian woman. I'm sure she's super nice. It wasn't me. And I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. What do I do? And within 24 hours, it was down because clearly someone did their Googles and found the trademark belonged to moi. So yeah.
Wait, this is my face because I just remember what my real break was going to be, and it is so related.
What is it?
How did I forget this? Tiffany, did you see the drama on Instagram? There is an account. So first of all, there's an author. Shit, I'm going to get her name wrong. I don't want to get her. Hold on. Hold on.
Now I'm thirsty for information.
Oh my God, it's the T. Okay. Ijeoma Oluo. And I'm really sorry if I pronounced that wrong.
Ijeoma. She's
Ijeoma.
That's my sister's name.
Ijeoma, beautiful name. Ijeoma Oluo.
Oluo, okay.
Oluo. She is the author of a very famous book called So You Want to Talk About Race. And Ijeoma, wait, did I do it wrong? Ijeoma, thank you. Ijeoma. Ijeoma, it's when you see things and you don't say them out loud and then you're on a podcast and all of a sudden it's like, oh, maybe I should have practiced. Ijeoma. Anyway, so she is this famous author, and especially in the wake of 2020 last year, a lot of books about racism suddenly were soaring to the tops of, bestsellers lists because a lot of people were very interested all of a sudden in talking about race, especially her book. And around that time, this other Instagram account became wildly popular called So You Want to Talk About. That was the name.
Okay.
And it came to be, and it's not led by a face. It's just called So You Want to Talk About. Okay. And every day or every other day, they kind of created these carousel posts of PowerPoint slides talking about different issues, a lot of things about race and racism, but also politics, social justice, etc. And it became wildly popular, like 3 million followers popular. And this author people were joining this page, So You Want to Talk About, because they thought it was this author. Okay. Yes. And it turns out, of course, it's run by a white woman whose name is Jess. And this came out this past week. I don't know if there was a particular incident because this controversy's kind of been there. Like people have known, hey, this is not really Ijeoma and this is not okay. And Ijeoma got on Instagram and she actually told her story of finding out about the account and really just kind of tucking it away and just saying, listen, I can't do anything about it. I'm just going to, go on my merry way. But because of so much backlash and because so many people were really, fighting for Ijeoma and wanting her to be, to have some form of justice. Finally, Jess, the founder of So You Want to Talk About, she decided to rename her handle. So it's a different name handle. Okay. And she's like, I'm putting my name out there. And she had this like very weak disclaimer kind of shoved down in her Instagram bio that's like not affiliated with the Gemma, not affiliated with that book. And but now it's a whole different name. And I just thought that was, very similar because it's about, so often it's like Black creators, Black artists, Black writers, Black entertainers who create something and it's ours, right? And then it becomes, you put a white face on it and a white name Elvis. Or a white, oh, yes. Lizzo said Black people created rock and roll. Okay.
Girl, we know, single? Please.
Their new single.
Yeah.
And it continues to happen even today. And
girl, let me tell you something. That Bitcoin, that $B Bitcoin, I trademarked that a year before Bitcoin ever came out. Like that $B, I own that. Yeah. Because
whenever I see that, I think of you.
Yeah. Because remember, it used to be in all my stuff. And I didn't, because I had never, Bitcoin wasn't a thing. I was like, I literally had a dream. And in the dream, my sister was drinking from a mug and there was a $B on it. And I was like, what are you doing with my mug? And then I woke up and I was like sleeping on my parents' couch. I was like, ooh, that's my logo, $B. So I went, if you go type in $B, it says owned by Tiffany Aliche. I still own it. I'm not giving up but there was nobody to sue because Bitcoin's not owned by anyone. So it's just really frustrating, like I was just like, because I was using it for like a year to 2 years. And then Bitcoin came out. Someone decided this is the artwork for it. And then it went crazy. And I just decided, what do I do? Do I fight against this like machine thing? Or do I say that the real power is in my name, Budgetnista, And so I kind of like let it go. But yeah, that sucks. I mean, I own that. I own that $B, baby. Mm-hmm.
I mean, that sounds like a whole like saga for another day, like finding no one can figure out who created Bitcoin. But in Ijeoma's case, at least, you know, she has, I mean, I don't think it can't undo, because her social media following is a lot less. And you know, how many people follow So You Want to Talk About thinking that it was Ijama because they read the book, you know, and that just pisses me off. Really does. Even, and I'm sure Jess said all the right things about how sorry she is, et cetera, et cetera. But it's still that privilege of just even casually, oh, I didn't know any better. I just thought it was a good name. But to not have to think about that and to take something else that was the fruit of someone else's work and then turn it into your own, that is colonialism, white supremacy, racism every day. We're living it even now. So to Tiffany's point, yes, try your best to protect your IP.
Yep.